Assalamu alaikum. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wahdahu la sharika lah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluhu sallallahu alayhi wa sallam wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'een. Amma ba'd. Today, brothers and sisters, we want to go over the process of extracting root words by way of recognizing the letters of extension. We're going to reverse it. Instead of extract you, we're going to add it up, and you'll see what to take off. We're gonna start with the root word and then add the letters of extension to it, and you'll see what but you do just the opposite. If you see the whole word, you take off the letters of extension in order to get to the root word. And it's necessary to get to that root word in order to get understanding. Otherwise, you just get what somebody translated, and it may be all right, and it may have some deficiency. I'll give you an example. We have an example of a part of an ayat. It's not the whole ayat, I don't think. It's the last part of the 269th ayat of the second surah. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Tu'til hikmata man yasha wa man yu'tal hikmata faqad utiya خيرا كثيرا ومن يذكر إلا أولو الألباب. And I have the Yusuf Ali translation here, and it's at least two words I want to just show you how it could leave us somewhat shy of the depth of the real meaning. His translation is, He, referring to Allah, He granteth wisdom to whom He pleaseth, and to whom wisdom is granted receiveth indeed a benefit overflowing. But none will grasp the message but men of understanding. So the first thing I want to get rid of, and that is that word men. There's not a word for men in there anywhere, all right? And so, sisters, y'all can come on back now. All right. All right. All right. Okay. I mean, that's pretty serious. He just said men of understanding. Then who are the men of understanding? They are ulul albab, the last word down. Ulul albab, the last two words. Ulu, and then albab. And ulu ordinarily means those. Bab is door. So the ulu comes from the word awala, which, as you know, means one or first. So what does it say? And bab is door. So it's the first, those who are the first to open up, to open. That's who. Otherwise, and what this is what got me, because it said that men of understanding. And I mean, listen, believe me, this one has had my attention for a long time, because that was one of the first thing I know. Wait a minute. That's why I got the book in my hand, to get understanding. And now you're going to tell me I can't get it unless I already got it. That's how this translation reads. In other words, none will get it except those who have understanding. I got to already have understanding before I can get it? I don't think so. That sounds like one of the youngsters, didn't it? I don't think so. Okay. So the word for grasp is yazakaru. Yazakaru. What is yazakaru? I know you recognize that. Zikr. Yeah, dhikr, meaning to remember. In other words, you won't remember unless you already got to understand it. No, you won't remember unless you're open to it. Now that makes sense. You won't remember it unless you're open. If you close to it, you can't get nothing in a closed fist. But if you're open to it, then you, and not only do we know how you'll get it if you're open to it, we also know that you are likely to go back to it again because you're open to it. And that's really what's required, that we not only go to it one time, but that we keep going back to it. So much so that we have to, the greatest demonstration that we have of that is the first chapter of the Holy Quran as ordered by Prophet Mohammed sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they call it Al-Fatiha. Every time we pray, 5 times a day, that's poetry. Every time we pray, 5 times a day, we must say the Al-Fatiha. All right. If you don't say the Al-Fatiha, you have not prayed, according to our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. All right. Now, so then it says, where it says that those to whom wisdom is given. Well, first of all, let's go back up and go back. It says that it says that he granted wisdom to whom he pleased. Or to whom is it he's pleased with then? Who is it? There's a lot of people, he too short, he too tall, he too black. No. Allah is pleased with those who want it. That's what pleases him, those who submit themselves to him. We're going to have the word for submission on the other side of the board. We already got it on the board, so that we will recognize that, because that's one of the du'as that Prophet Muhammad taught us to say. Allahumma aslamtu wajhi alayk wa fa'wadtu amri alayk wa hazaq wa fawat wa Allahumma aslamtu wajhi alayk wa fa'wadtu amri alayk wal jahtu dhahri ilayk ragbatan rahbatan ilayk la malja minka illa ilayk. And then it goes on to say, Allahumma آمنت بكتابتي أنزلت وبنبيك الذي أرسلت. And that particular dua is in the hadith. It's in Bukhari. It's the 247th hadith. I think it's book 4. And I think it's volume 1. But anyway, according to the narration, the Prophet said that we should say that. That should be the last thing we say when we go to bed at night. This is not the Isha prayer. We already made Isha prayer. And then we make this dua lying on our right side. All right, lying on our right side. Well, I might as well, now that I've said it, I might as well tell you why. Because my late wife, when I told her this, the next day, when I went to work that day and I came back home, she had changed the bed. Because I explained to her what the right side was. The right side is the side that we are to either turn ourselves on, or someone is to turn us on when we're making the transition. And when we're on that right side, we should be facing Kaaba. And the way our bed was set up at that time, we turned on the right side, we would have had our back to the Kaaba. When I came back home, she had it changed already. She didn't ask me no questions. Didn't ask me was it all right to change it. And it was just changed, But anyway, so that's the idea behind that. In other words, if we know that we are making our transition and we have the strength, we should turn on our right side and then begin to recite the kalima when we're that close, the words of faith. If we are not able to, but someone is there who recognizes it, of course, if you can ask them, then you ask them. If you can't even ask them, then they are to turn you on your right side. And if you can't say it, then they are to say it for you. And, of course, there's one stipulation. If that process seems to irritate the person who is making transition, you're to stop. Otherwise, and I had that opportunity when June passed. I was there, and I made the kalima for her. She was moving her mouth, but nothing was coming out. And we had rehearsed it so many times till I knew what she wanted. When I came in the door, she was moving her mouth. And my oldest son, my oldest daughter, my second youngest daughter, and my two sister-in-laws, and one of them's son, a nephew, they were all in the room, but they were standing over to the side, just visiting each other, because they had come, the sister-in-law and the nephew had come in from California, and so they were just visiting. They had, tried to talk to her as much as they could. And so when I came in, I said, she's trying to say something. And they all stopped because they thought I was accusing them of neglecting it. And it dawned on me once I said it, as I stepped over the threshold, what was happening. I just went straight to the bedside and just started. And when I put my hands on her, she was as stiff as a board. And as I said, recited the calendar, she just eased on away. I told Imam Mohammed about that. He said he had never had that experience himself. But anyway, that's just something that I wouldn't intend to get into. Yes, sir.
We have a page where we're trying to increase our general Islamic education on the Mosque's website that you can link to.
Mm-hmm.
And if we don't have that, we want to have that dua in the section and title it properly.
Okay.
And she can show you, maybe one day you could look at it, and if you see, or any man that's in this room or within my voice, if you see things that we can add to the Mosque's website to improve the general education page.
Yes, sir. I'll be glad to. Yes, sir.
Everybody's got a cell phone now.
Right. That's right. Yeah.
I can imagine it's stressful because I don't know.
The most, when you said the most impressive commercial I've seen on the radio was they were talking about some cell phone system. They said both, and then the baby said, first word, both. that's probably true. Some babies probably said that first word off of some commercial. But yes, we do, and we should make use of our information.
So, I was just imagining, I always put myself in the other person's place. I could imagine I'm terminally ill and I'm laying on my right side. First thing I'm gonna do is grab my cell phone if I don't haven't committed to memory.
Yes.
And if I can go, I know what the Mosque app is. I can hit that button.
Oh yeah.
You have found me laying there reading.
Alhamdulillah. Beautiful day. Yes, sir. And that's exactly what we should do: is make use of the social media to our advantage and not to the foolishness that they invite us to. Okay, so anyway, we dealt with these words here. The Cairo that said that they translate that as they will have a benefit beyond or overflowing. And the word is khayr, kathira, and kathira is plenty. Khayr means utility. You're getting more use out of it. So we're getting use out of our knowledge. It's not just something we just sit and recite. We get use out of it. So now let us go quickly to the other side of the board. We were just dealing with this. Did anyone have any questions about any of the words, for instance, like where we say may, the noon here is dropped in favor of the shadda on the ya. So instead of saying man yashad, we said may yashad. All right. Okay. Let me show us a word again when it's here. Okay, here. Man, see it says yutil hikmata. When we say may yashad, it's written man yashad. But the noon and the ya coming together like that, the ya then is treated like a sun letter. The noon is a sun letter. The ya is treated like a sun letter. So instead of saying man yashad, we say put a shadda on the ya and say may yashad. Okay. Anytime you see a word starting with a shadda on it, that means it has to be pronounced with the preceding word. Because the shadda means that it's two of them, and the first one is sukoon on it. So you got to have it ending. Sukoon is a place for ending a sound. You have to have it ending the sound from may yashad. All right. Any other question on this? The reason why I'm kind of moving, I see my sight of my watch, my clock over there. I had forgotten about it. I was relaxing too much. Akbar didn't frown yet, but okay. So over on the left here, these are letters of extension. They are not always letters of extension. These are letters, when we see them, we should be suspect. They are the only letters of extension. We have a couple more, but those other couple, the lamb and the lamb and fat. I'll show you these. Show them right quick. This letter and fat. They are used as a letter of extension, but they are actually whole words in themselves. The lamb and the fat, they are whole words in themselves. This is telling us that whatever the action is to or for someone. And this one is telling us that the action is taking place immediately after what you just got to read. You just read some other action, and immediately this action is to take place. All right. That's then. That's the then on that. Okay. All right. So now, these are the letters we're going to watch out for. So I got a couple of root words up here. Salima, Hamada, Amuna, Darasa. All right, let's take the first one. We're going to write it up here. Salima, but we're not going to put any vowel on just yet. We want to make that. Who can help me make a bigger word out of Salima? Just act like the vowels are on it.
That's salam.
Oh yeah, that's a long one. You're correct, but let's not go to that one right away. We'll get to it though. All right.
Would you put a ta on the end of it, Tamafuta, to make it feminine name? No? Or it's not an H?
Yeah, well, we can do that.
That's not where you're going?
No, I wanted to just do it just with the, like with the,
Okay.
looking at these. Huh? So what could you add to, let's looking at these. Noon, and we get, all right. Well, before we go to noon, why don't we go to the single for noon, okay? Let's put an a, okay? Because the noon is the plural, first person. A is singular, first person. All right. So then if we put a, we're going to sukoon the next word. Aslama. Aslama. All right. You got close enough to take it the way I wanted to go. I don't know whether anybody wrong, but you just gone so far past where I wanted to go at the moment. All right. So aslama. Remember I told you a few minutes ago, I said I had a word up here show you what surrender means. Surrender. I used it in the dua, Allahumma aslamtu wajhi aslama. That means to surrender. It's coming from the word salima. All right. So now, there's some more long words we could do, but let's move at it a little slow. Let's go down this. What else could we add? We could add noon, but noon is just going to give us, let's go on and do the noon. We'll do it on the same line. All right. Okay. So we take salima again. Okay, and we'll put the noon. All right, so now we have nus. And we're going to say nus li what? Nus li, no, not nus li that. Nus li mu. You got the plural line. Nus li mu. Now, based on what we just said, and we got to put this over here. Don't ask me why, but that's what goes after the plural, okay? It's not pronounced, all right? Nuslimun. And nuslimu, well, that's not going to be nuslimu. Well, it could be. Could be nuslimu. Nuslimun would be the people. Nuslimu, this is plural to this, okay? If this is saying I surrender, what is this saying? We surrender, all right? Now, let's do a different one. Now, let's pick out another one. Let's take the salima. And what else could you add to the front of it? We've already used the other one. Yeah, we could. That's the man. All right, that's the man. All right. That's all right. I'll let you do it. All right. Test. We're testing this thing. You surrender. That's a command. That's a command. You surrender. So it's telling you to Testament. Testament. Or if I said Teslimu, then that's all of you. Teslimu, I do the same thing, just the Teslimu, and it will be all of you. Command all of you to surrender. Okay? Now,
What do you mean, but also Teslim is
Teslim, that would be, it would be changing in from a verb, to a noun. Who knows what Teslim is? Well, it can be a verb, but it's a noun the way we use it. That's what we do at the end of prayer. That's Taslim. That's Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. That's Taslim, all right? Okay. Let's move to another one right quickly, another letter, okay? How about this letter? What will we get? All right. And we add the meaning to it, and we get Muslim. Now, what do we do with all of these? What happened to the first letter in all of these that we have up here so far? We succumb. I don't like to say silent. It's a place where you end the sound. The sound, there is a sound, but it's ending here. All right. It's not. Its influence is at the end of a sound as opposed to being at the beginning of the sound. Here it's telling us start the sound from here. We're saying after. Here it's telling us stop this sound. Or stop this sound. Stop add from here. We get S as opposed to sa, S. Okay. So your consonant letters do what? Who can tell us what consonant letters? Consonant. Anybody remember that? Con means with, sonat means sound. They go with the sound. Consonant. Consonants go with sound. How do they go with sound? Either before the sound or after the sound. Before the sound or after the sound. That's simplified, but that is the truth. Everywhere, in other words, consonants do not make sound. And I know I wish I had some kind of vaccine where I could put out there to vaccinate people against that. And I know that they don't mean any harm, but it's because they really don't understand the word consonant. Consonant tells you, con means with, sonat means sound. So then, if it's telling, even in English, that's what it's telling you. We don't have to be specific. In English, the word consonant with sound. In some dictionaries, you look up the word consonant, and they have made a blunder. They'll say consonants are non-vowel sounds. Some dictionaries say that. That's not true. They do not represent all letters, all alphabets just represent something, right? They do not represent non-vowel sounds. They represent places in which to start making a sound or places in which to stop making a sound. Now in Arabic it's easy to tell because if it's the consonant letter has a sukoon on it, it means it's a place to stop making a sound. If the letter has a vowel sound above it or below it, that's telling us to start making a sound from that whatever position that letter is taking. The consonants give us positions in our oral faculty from which to start or stop making sound. Now you can go and get anybody, and I'll talk to them so hard until they have hair down to their shoulders. When they get through their head, look like mine and Brother Akbar. They will have rubbed it all off. Hair is supposed to represent wisdom. That's why you say hair, that's supposed to be wisdom. That's symbolically. Imam Mohammed says it's like the rays of your head is like the sun, and the hairs like the rays coming out from. This is so you understand the whole stuff about the beard and the hair and so on. You know, with the beard and the hair represent wisdom coming out from the sun itself. Okay? And so even when you cut the hair off, that's Allah's wisdom up there, and this is your understanding now. This is yours down here. So you don't shave yours off, but you recognize that this, you don't have much of this. You can always cut this and hope that it grow back. Might be disappointed. But okay, Muslim. Okay, I forgot I didn't put the rest of it. And then of course this would have Damatain on it, but it wouldn't pronounce. We just said Muslim, but there's always some marking on your letters. Sometimes we don't put them there, but it's understood that it's there. And of course, what happens, like at the end of the word here, the tanween, Muslimun, the is dropped in favor. Is dropped just as what is called making it easy, tajweed. Okay. All right. Now, let's go to another word. All this, where you started off, brother, you know, as-salam, that's right, as-salam, as-salamu alaikum, that comes from Muslim, from Salimah also. By the way, anybody remember what Salimah means? The root word for Muslim, Salimah. Who said it? To escape from danger, to escape from danger. And the E is on there, meaning that you're not permanently away from danger. It's a process. It's ongoing. The E, whenever you have the root letter has kasra on it, the middle root letter has kasra, that means that whatever that act is, in this word or any other word, it means that act is temporary or accidental. So that tells us something about being Muslim. We should understand that we are not permatized Muslim. As it's an ongoing process, we have to keep seeking, we have to keep Aslamah involved to keep seeking safety. That's why we pray. I know some, I'm a Muslim, I've been a Muslim for 50 years. No. Inshallah, you will remain a Muslim. But it's still a process. I'm not saying you're not, I'm saying that, here's what I am saying. If the time comes when there's a particular something that we're supposed to do, as something as I was start to say simple, but something as complicated as missing a prayer, then when you miss that prayer, guess what? You're not Muslim. But Allah is off-redeeming, off-forgiving, most merciful. As soon as you come back, you're right back in the fold. He doesn't say, hey, wait a minute, now you missed school. I don't know what I want you back in. No, he's off-forgiving, most merciful. That's how that goes. So we don't have any need to go, I don't know what I'm going to be a Muslim tomorrow night. Go, move on just like you always been moving. I'm a Muslim, I'm going to live my life a Muslim, I'm going to die a Muslim, but you should understand that it's a process. It's an ongoing process. It's temporary. If the is on it, it means that it's something that is God-given, a natural. We have one word up here with on it. Amunah. Amunah means to trust. That is something that is God-given, natural. You had it when you got here. You lose it, and that's why you have to make shahada to declare it back. Why did you lose it? Because somebody somebody did something that was harmful to your trusting. Made it so, I can't trust that dude. I can't trust. He told me he's going to do so and so, and he ain't even in town. So we learn to distrust. We come here trusting mama, whoever's caring for us. We trust that they're going to feed us the right thing. We don't ask them if there are no drugs in this, anything like that. We just trust them. And as we grow, we learn to distrust. And then, of course, when we come of age and we reach the age where we can make decisions about how we want to live our lives, then we have to learn trust all over again. But you're always trusting, even when you have learned to distrust. You're just not trusting the right thing. You're trusting that you can make it without trusting. You learn to distrust other people. That means you're saying, what? I can trust only myself. You're still trusting. So trust and belief, they are something that's in our lives all the time, but maybe in the wrong direction. You say, what about a Catholic? A Catholic is a believer. He just doesn't believe in he believes, you know what he believes? He believes that he can cover up the truth. That's what a Catholic is, one who covers up the truth. And I got more on the board than I'll be able to handle it. I want to say this because this came up recently. I believe it came up Friday. Yes, it came up Friday. Someone did ask me Friday. I had mentioned Friday before last in the khutbah about different types of hypocrites. That you have the kafir, and then you have something called munafiq. And so the kafir is one who knows what the truth is, but covers it to try to keep anybody else from benefiting from it. That's the kafir. That's kafirah means to cover. And if he's rejecting faith, he's trying to cover it up, then that's the kafir. The munafiq is one who comes right in line, gets right in line with everybody, spends just like you spend, gives money, you know, and everything. But he is only doing that to be seen of men and hoping that a chance will come when you will follow him away from your faith. They also described as those who believe in the morning, and then in the afternoon they say they don't believe in the morning. Munafiq comes from the word nafaqah, which means to spend. But they are spending only to be seen of men, not because they want to help the cause, not that they want to help Allah. Okay. Do we have any questions? I've run out of time. I don't know. I think when I wasn't looking, he slammed it to the floor. But this is the process. So I'll entertain any questions of the process. Is to recognize these letters when you see them in words and see if they're not always, for instance, the scene. I seen it up here. But in this case, the scene is not a letter of extension. It's one of the root words. So you will still have to do some determining to see if the word would stand. When we say it's a letter of extension, meaning that if you took it off, you still could come up with a word. If you can't take it off, and you can't take Salima, can take the scene off of Salima and still have a word. You'll have a word, but it'll be another word, a different word, ought to be lamb. All right, which is another word altogether. All right. Any questions?
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
I'm going to change the word. You were mentioning trust and belief.
Yeah.
How interchangeable is faith with that?
You first of all, the belief comes from the same word as trust. This is where belief comes from. If I had gotten to it, we would have wound up with mu'min, which is a believer. This is what we call a weak verb, meaning that the first letter is a vowel. Amunah. Amunah is the vowel. From that we get amanah, which means to have faith. Amunah means to trust. Amanah means to have faith. How can you have faith in something you don't trust? Right. So you see how closely they're connected? So that's it's coming from the same, just change the vowel from amu to amanah, and that means to have faith. But amunah means to trust. Okay? That's what you were born with. And then you develop faith out of your experiences. And then so go ahead. Did you have another?
No, I was just making in my own head. I was thinking about faith is the reason why things exist.
Yeah, that's
things that we don't have faith in really don't exist in reality.
Yeah, right.
It's not real until you have faith in it.
Yeah. And you cannot have faith. You cannot have faith.
I was watching a science program, and they had this big talk about black matter. And whenever I hear people on TV talking about black, it arouses my curiosity. I said, now what new burden they trying to put on us?
Yeah.
But they said what's bigger as a reality of matter in the universe is what they call black matter. Yeah. And every explanation that they gave for what black matter is, in my mind, I kept hearing the word faith. So everything exists and is supported because of faith. Yeah. And then when you mentioned trust and belief, and I said, yeah, Doc. I said, before something can be real or exist, it has to be supported by this matter. Yeah. If you haven't watched those science programs, they talking a lot about black holes and black holes. Yeah. So, but if you ever watch it, remember what I just said, and then think of faith when they talk about black matter.
Yes, sir. The
If he
name.
goes on the internet and look up the truth about Islam on Imam W.D. Muhammad,
Okay.
he would come up with the answer to
Well, we just
that
talked, yeah.
situation.
Yeah, about faith and belief,
Truth
yeah,
about Islam
yeah, oh,
on the Imam W.D. Muhammad.
yeah,
You pull it up and you'll see he will explain that to the teeth.
yes.
Y'all listened to it this morning.
Alhamdulillah.
I
Alhamdulillah.
said,
And he did that because he knew we were going to be talking about. He wanted to be boss. Thank you, Brother Dave. Any other? Yes, ma'am.
I just wanted you to please say that prayer again about the on the right side.
The prayer. Can I just give it to you? Let you copy it?
Okay.
We're gonna get inshallah, we're gonna get a copy of it, and we could have the Bukhari, right?
Yeah,
The number,
yeah.
can you give the number again?
247.
247,
Yeah.
and inshallah, we're gonna put it on the Mosque
Okay.
website, the Arabic and English translation.
All right. Any other questions or comments?
What volume?
That's volume 1. It's volume 1, book 4,
In Bukhari.
and it's number 247. Hadith number 247. All right, thank you very much.